Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Marcus from the Weekly Spot, back again with another video, and today I'm going to do a movie review of The Beekeeper.
Will you stomp his ass out?
You're telling me one man did this. The only thing you know is he's a beekeeper.
A beekeeper, a beekeeper? Well, that's not good.
So the movie follows Adam Clay, a beekeeper working in a barn owned by his landlady, Eloise Parker, who he shares a close friendship with, and everything seems to be going right for him. He's living the quiet life until one day Eloise falls for a fidgeting scam that steals all of her life savings, and devastated and bankrupt, she ends up killing herself. And Adam, now hell-bent on revenge, goes after people responsible, as it turns out that he's a retired government assassin that worked for an organization called the Beekeepers. Now, unless you haven't seen a Jason Statham film, especially where he's like the leading man, you probably know what you're in for, which is some fun and badass entertainment. And this one is no different. And I gotta say that this is one of my favorite movies of his. Like, if I were to describe this, I would say this is like, Jason Statham's version of John Wick, which there's a lot of, movies that are similar to, John Wick, but this one definitely, has that vibe. And Jason Statham, like I said before in my Shelter review, while I do agree that he plays, the same character in most of his movies, but he's really good at it, so I'm not really complaining. So I'm going to start with, talking a little bit about the cast, starting with the Amy Raver Lampman, who is playing Verona Parker. Now, Verona is an FBI agent that is on the hunt for Clay when he started, going after this organization that's been, scamming people and stealing millions of dollars and more, including Eloise, who we learned early on in the movie is Verona's mother, who, by the way, is played by Felicia Rashad. Now, as much as I enjoyed this movie, I feel like Verona was the weakest part in this movie because while the actress, I thought, did a fine job, playing, a character that is tough and comes off as crude, I do have mixed feelings about her, if that makes sense, because she claims to believe in the law and to do things by the book, which is why she's going after Clay, as she doesn't agree with him, taking the law to his own hands, in which, I get that. I get not letting, personal feelings get in the way, but at the same time, she is so relentless of, capturing, Clay, like even though he's avenging her mother and going after those who have wronged her, and the fact that she knows that, and she knows, the people that are responsible for her death, like, it just seems kind of odd to me. And there's even a moment between her and her partner, Matt Wiley, played by Bobby Nadiri, who I like these two together, by the way. Like, there's a moment where he's like, you don't have to do this, like, why not just let Clay do his thing? And I feel like if the movie would have spent, a little more time with Verona, developing her character, we would have, maybe had a better understanding of her, because her actions and her pursuit of Clay just look like, again, like, it just comes off, odd to me. Like if I was her, I would have just stayed out of it personally, but maybe that's just me. Like, I don't know. But moving on to the next character, you got Josh Hutcherson, who plays the main villain, Derek Danforth, and there's not really much to say about him, but the actor does a good job of just making you hate him. Like, he's a whiny, entitled, drugged out rich kid. Like, he's a pretty straightforward villain. We also got Jeremy Irons in here. He plays Wallace Westwild, who is a former CIA director and is now head of security for Danforth Enterprises. So he's pretty much the guy whose job is to look after Derek and clean up after his mess. And when you're watching this movie, you can tell that he's grown tired of the kid, and it's like, who wouldn't be? And we don't know a lot about the character, but what we do know is that he's one of the few people that knows about the beekeepers. And I thought the actor, did a fine job. Like, this movie has a pretty decent cast. And as for the rest of the characters, they are so colorful and wacky. Like there's one character, for example, named Lazarus, played by Taylor James, who's a mercenary who has experience in fighting, beekeepers, even killing killing one. And the guy is so over the top towards like almost comedic, which I guess you can say the same about all the bad guys in this movie. But he does have an action scene with Jason Statham, which is the best action scene in this movie, which speaking of that, like the action is just awesome and brutal. And the writing is so silly, but I feel like the movie is pretty self-aware that like it has lines like to be or not to be, or like you've been a busy bee. Like this movie has bee puns and quite a bit of it, so this movie knows what it is. And it's a simple and straightforward revenge story. And while most of the movie it is predictable, there are a couple of moments where, you know, well, at least for me, I thought was unexpected. Like for example, there was a scene where they introduced a character, and this character was sent to kill, you know, Jason Statham's character, and there was an action scene between these two. And you would think, or at least for me, like I thought, you know, this character is gonna play a big part. Nope. Jason Statham, you know, got rid of this character real quick, and I was like, damn, okay. so there are some moments where, you know, I got caught off guard. So this movie, I enjoy how silly it is, how over the top it is. I like the action, and overall, like this movie was just a fun time. And it has been announced that there will be a Beekeeper 2, which I am excited for. Like I cannot wait for that. But anyways, I will give the Beekeeper a 4 out of 5.
We have to kill him before he kills his way to the top.
Honey?
It's flammable as fuck. Oh no.
And that's it for this video, my review for The Beekeeper, and let me know what you think. This is Marcus from the Weekly Spot. More content will be coming out soon, but until then, take care everyone.